5 months ago, he was the week one starter for the eventual national champions. Now he's a free agent, and as things stand out right now, the top free agent quarterback or transfer portal quarterback in college football. Of course, we're talking about JT Daniels, and we will talk JT Daniels and whatever else you would like to discuss concerning West Virginia and college football right here at the Voice of College Football for the next hour or so. We'll see. We got Golden Blue Dude, of course, up at the top there. You got to check him out on YouTube. And got a little note from the weekend to pass along here in just a second. And, of course, we got Justin from Couz's Corner. Check out his work there. Again, Couz's Corner, talking West Virginia football. Guys, how we doing today?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
Doing great. How are you, Mark?
I'm doing well. Ready to talk some speculation on JT Daniels. I'm excited about this because there's some less than glamorous programs involved. And I say that in a way like that makes me excited. That is just not the rich getting richer, that he's looking at some other destinations that could help, a mid-tier program somewhere, Big 12, Pac-12, or SEC possibly. We'll see. It looks like it's down to 3. But before we get into the JT Daniels talk, Justin, we got to honor a champion in our midst, in our presence. And I don't know that it gets any better, more prestigious. We talk about the Heisman Trophy all year, but when you win the Slob Olympics.
Yeah, that's I'll remember that forever. That's for sure. And the great thing about the Slobs is I really like how they got the trophy set up. It's not this little, rinky-dink cup. I mean, this thing it's pretty stout. And they've already got several panels.
Keep it up there. Yeah.
I don't know if you can see that or not. But so that's last year's winner, Big Dog Brett 2021. I haven't gotten mine engraved on there, but I'll be right under him. I'll be 2022. And if you can't read it, it says Slob Olympics Champion Cup. I didn't choose the Slob lifestyle. The Slob lifestyle chose me. And that is 100% correct. And, you only get to keep it for a year, but that's still a long time. And your name is still on that thing forever. So I'm pretty excited about it. Joey went with me, and you can ask him. He was videoing me the whole time when they did the announcements. They got to the top 10. I was like, that was my goal, man, top 10, because they had more competitors this year. Got to the top 5. I'm like, top 5. Okay. All right. I'm digging this. 1 by 1, 4, 3. Then they got down to 2, and I'm like, could this be happening? And sure enough, 2 wasn't me. And when I heard that 2 wasn't me, that's when I started thinking, okay, wait a minute. Did I miss my name? That's how I wasn't believing it. I was like, did I miss my name somewhere? Nope. Sure enough, number 1 was Golden Blue Dude. So that was pretty exciting. And I reacted like an animal. I can't lie. I couldn't control myself.
Nothing, no shame in that. No shame.
I went nuts, man. I went nuts. I did.
Couz, I don't know if it's that they're just too much in awe and scared of our athletic prowess to invite us, or we're just not big enough on YouTube yet.
I don't know what it is, man, but
I think it's the first.
We're not worthy. I guess we're not worthy.
I guess not.
I think they know that y'all would own it for sure.
I didn't see my invite, so
yeah.
But Chris, we are happy for you. That's awesome. That is a nice trophy. It's a very classy looking trophy, and whoever came up with that little slogan, that fits.
That's what I was thinking. Fits. I mean, it's not glamorous or anything, but it fits. I mean, that's what you can say right there. It fits.
We all show up as sports guys here on YouTube in different shapes and sizes, but when it comes down to it, we're all slobs.
Yep. And it's a great lifestyle. I love it.
Yes. I made a good choice about 1.5 years ago, and things are working out just fine. But they can be better, everyone. So subscribe, hit the like button, do all those good things here. And of course, over on Golden Blue Dude's channel as well. Not just posting West Virginia football content. I check it out from time to time, and there's some really good angles on college football across the board. And of course, Couz's Corner. Got to check out Justin on Couz's Corner as well. JT Daniels. Yeah, it's kind of hard to imagine this is how fast things work in college football, that he was the week 1 starter against Clemson in the biggest non-conference game in college football for the Georgia Bulldogs, who were a top 5 team and then eventually won the national championship. But he got nicked up a little bit. It opened the door for Stetson Bennett, and whoop, never got his job back. And here he is on the open market. And we have seen, my goodness, Chris, we've seen Keaton Slovis leave USC, Jackson Dart leave USC, Zach Calzada, Texas A&M quarterback. A lot of high-name, high-caliber programs losing quarterbacks. Max Johnson leaving LSU, going to Texas A&M.
Oklahoma lost both theirs.
Shoot, Michael Penix went from Indiana to Washington. Yes, Oklahoma losing Caleb Williams and bringing in Dylan Gabriel, who's thrown all of like 70 touchdowns already in his career, come in from UCF. And we could keep going. One of the reasons why JT Daniels is looking at Missouri, they lost their quarterback, Connor Baslick, took over for Michael Penix at Indiana. Yep. So it's kind of like a carousel that keeps going round and round and round and round. So, Chris, we'll start with
the team to keep your eyes on next year with Spencer Rattler. I really like what they're doing over there.
Oh, I do too. Yeah, there's another one right there. Oklahoma to South Carolina, Spencer Rattler, and he brought his tight end with him as well, yep. Austin Stogner. So what makes you confident, Chris? We'll start with you, and then Justin, you can just keep the conversation going from there. That makes you optimistic about JT Daniels choosing West Virginia.
Well, the biggest thing is Graham Harrell. Graham Harrell was the offensive coordinator that actually recruited JT Daniels. Yeah, he got injured and had to transfer to Georgia and all that stuff, but he has really strong ties with Graham Harrell. And beyond that, it's just a really good situation for both West Virginia and JT Daniels. I will say this: it's not a make or break situation for West Virginia with JT Daniels, because we have Nico, Marchiol, and I think he's the future of West Virginia. But I do think that it helps because you don't want to throw a true freshman into the fire immediately. Not many true freshmen can do that. Now, if anybody can, it would be Nico. But it would be nice to have JT there with experience, giving him some pointers. And JT only has 1 year of experience. So Nico is not, and that's the biggest fear of West Virginia fans if we were to grab JT Daniels is, Nico going to transfer. That's not going to happen because he knows JT only has 1 more year. And even if JT were the starter this year, it would be Nico's team next year. So I think it's a great fit for JT Daniels. He has, really strong ties with Graham Harrell. He loves the offense that Graham Harrell runs. It's right down the alley of JT Daniels. So I think JT Daniels would see that he would have success as a quarterback at West Virginia. Even though recently our quarterback situation hasn't been so great, if you look at the past 20 years, West Virginia actually has a pretty decent record when it comes to sending quarterbacks to the NFL. So I think our record of being able to send quarterbacks to the NFL and Graham Harrell and the fit, I just think it's a great fit for JT Daniels.
I agree. The Graham Harrell thing, I think, gives us a little bit of a leg up. The only thing I think that hurts us, obviously, is being so far east. But that didn't seem to bother him when he went to Georgia, so it may not matter. Plus, being in the Big 12, we play our away games in the Midwest, so that's not as far. So that might be a good compromise there. But I think the Graham Harrell thing really – and I actually dropped a video on this yesterday. But when I was doing my research, what I found intriguing is the Missouri and West Virginia are almost in the exact same situation. We had a experienced quarterback transfer out, and we have 3 inexperienced quarterbacks in the room: a sophomore, a freshman, and an incoming freshman. A redshirt freshman and an incoming freshman. It's almost identical. So I think we even had the same records, 6 and 7, if I'm not mistaken, or something close.
Yep.
So it's almost like looking in the mirror. The only difference being, obviously, they don't have the familiarity on the coaching staff that we do. So I do think that gives us a little bit of a leg up over Missouri in that regard, unless he just wants to play in the SEC. If he wants to play in the SEC, that might hurt us. I'm actually more worried about Oregon State simply because they're on the West Coast. That's the only thing. It does. Playing at home, playing close to home, does matter to some of these young men and to their families. So if that's a big deal to him, then Oregon State may have the leg up on us.
I would be a little bit more scared if it was Oregon. I realize that Oregon State is closer. It's on the West Coast and everything. But if you look at the comparisons between Oregon State and Oregon or Washington or UCLA or USC, their facilities are not good at all. I mean, their football stadium holds less than 40,000 or right at 40,000. So a very small stadium. So I'm not as scared, but I am with you. The one thing that does scare me about it is, it's closer to home, and whenever they're ranking these teams as far as who's he's going to choose, that's one thing that they put under Oregon State. It'll be closer to home, and you just never know with these college athletes, especially with JT. He's I would consider him a veteran college football quarterback. Maybe he does want to play that last year, closer to home. That's really the only thing that would worry me about that. But I'm kind of thankful that it is Oregon State and not one of these, bigger names. I mean, Corvallis is out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's right up there where Washington State is. So I would say that's the one thing that makes me, breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah, Jonathan Smith is doing a nice job at Oregon State. When he took over 4 or 5 years ago, they, by a number of measurements, had the worst program in the Power Five and had one of the worst 2 or 3 year runs of any team in like the last 20 years, like offensively, defensively, like bottom 3 in the nation. They were really bad. Their roster talent for a Pac-12 team was abysmal. He's really built it up. Had a nice season this past year. Really, the only disappointment was that they lost to a Mountain West team in their bowl game to finish at 7-6. But Oregon State had a nice season. They're much improved under Jonathan Smith. Jonathan Smith was a quarterback right around the turn of the century, around 2000, who led them to a Fiesta Bowl win. And get this, folks, if you're a little bit younger, don't remember college football from 20 years ago, Oregon State finished number 3 in the country.
I remember that.
With a Fiesta Bowl win and 11-1 with Jonathan Smith at quarterback. Imagine that happening now. Oregon State finishing 11-1, number 3 in the country with a Fiesta Bowl win by 32 points over Notre Dame. So Jonathan Smith is a quarterback coach. He's a guy that's obviously played the position and coached it extremely well. What's an interesting sideline here, and you guys kind of both touched on it, is some guys would be intrigued by getting a shot at their former team. Some guys would be more inclined to, as a kind of a tiebreaker. Not that I'm just going to go to Oregon State just so I can play USC or whatever. But if it was close, thinking, I'd like to get back at those guys, or just like I want that challenge. But he's got it going 2 different ways. Obviously, I haven't seen Oregon State's schedule. They play in a different division than USC, but the Pac-12 schools play 9 conference games, so they play almost everyone. If he goes to Missouri, he obviously is going to have to face up against that monster Georgia defense, which lost a ton of NFL talent, but they're all getting replaced by high 4 and 5 stars. So whether he likes that challenge or he wants to kind of maybe steer clear of it, I don't know. Based on 2 of his 3 choices at this point, it doesn't seem like it bothers him.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I haven't looked over Missouri's schedule recently. Do they play Georgia on the road at home?
I believe they're at home this year. I'm almost positive they went to Georgia last year. I'll double check on that.
Yeah, that might. I mean, I know that probably doesn't mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, but it would make me feel just a little bit better if that was a road game. Because if he goes to Missouri, JT is going to want to beat Georgia. He's going to want to. So it being a home game, that would give them a better chance. And to be honest with you, I don't think Georgia's going to be the juggernaut that what they were last year. I think their offense is going to be okay, like it was last year. I don't think that takes a step back, but I do think that their defense will take a noticeable step back, not like trash defense. But I'm thinking Georgia is going to be, maybe a 10-2, 11-1. They're not going to go undefeated. I want to lean more towards 10-2, and JT Daniels might be thinking one of those 2 losses could be to Missouri. You never know.
Yeah, I agree. I just, at the end of the day, I feel like he seems like a very mature young man, very intelligent young man. He's going to have a degree from Georgia when he's done. That's one of the reasons he's waiting for so long, is my understanding. He wants to finish school. I think he's going to be focused on getting in the NFL and giving what's going to give him the best shot to get drafted. And I think, and there's 2 ways you can look at it. You can look at it and say, well, West Virginia's it because I'm going to step in day one. I'm already going to know the offense. There won't be as big of a learning curve, and we can just basically hit the ground running, and I'll be the guy there. Or you can look at it and say, well, but Missouri plays in the SEC. I'll play tougher competition, arguably, and that'll give me a better profile to scout. So it's just going to depend on him, I think, and two, I think with the program, what is he looking for in a program? Because the other 2 programs he's been to have been, I guess, what you want to call blue bloods or whatever. None of these are. So it's a little bit. I find it interesting that he's looking, like Mark mentioned earlier at the beginning of the show, he's looking at 3 programs who are not really known as your blue blood programs. Maybe that's intriguing to him. He wants to be the guy responsible for helping rebuild a program or something, or getting them back on the map in West Virginia's case or whatever. So I just find it very intriguing that we're even in the mix here, to be honest. Kind of like back with the Will Grier thing. I found that I couldn't believe we landed him. This reminds me of that. You've got an undefeated quarterback from the SEC wanting to potentially come here.
Yeah. I think he'll like the setup of the defense too, because West Virginia has been real solid under Neal Brown on the defensive side of the ball. From 2020 to 2021, I know I've talked about it a million times. We lost a ton of talent, and yeah, we took a step back, but we still had a really good defense last year. We weren't elite like top 5 like 2020, but we were top 25, top 30 in that range. So we had a really good defense. This year, we're not losing that chunk of talent like we did from 20 to 21. So I do think that our defense is going to be better this year, and knowing that you're going to have a defense like that has your back, I think that's going to help West Virginia as well. And, like Q said, Will Grier, that wasn't too long ago. That was right before Neal Brown came to West Virginia. So that's not like, oh, remember 20 years ago when Will Grier came to West? No, that was like 3 years ago. So that's fresh in the history books of West Virginia. So there's a lot of things that could draw a talented quarterback to West Virginia. It's who's our competition. And looking around Missouri, Oregon State, I'm actually liking our chances. I'm not saying we're a lock, but it's better than having to go up against an Ohio State, an Oklahoma, a Florida, Alabama, USC. So, the mix that we're in, the teams that we're having to go up against for JT Daniels makes me really raise my eyebrows thinking we got a real shot at this.
I agree 100%. And another thing one thing that I'm concerned about is how did he leave you? When he left USC, what was his relationship like with Harold? But the fact that West Virginia's even made the Final 3 tells me that apparently it wasn't bad, or he wouldn't even have him on the list.
Exactly.
Because a lot of people, I've seen a lot of comments on social media like, well, apparently he wasn't very good at USC because they benched him. Well, I don't know that. Maybe he had other reasons he wanted to get out of USC. We don't know the reasons. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that we as fans don't see every day.
I thought he got just straight up injured.
Yeah, he did. He got hurt.
He did.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But I guess the argument is, well, he should have won his job back. But I don't know.
I'm going to throw out a simple theory. Who's his competition in West Virginia? Who's his competition in Missouri? Who's his competition at Oregon State?
Yep.
No one.
Exactly. So what's going to be the deciding factor? Is it going to be, hey, I get to play closer to home? Think about it. There's 3 separate, situations, 3 separate criteria. You have Oregon State playing closer to home, right? You have Missouri. You get to play Georgia, your former team. And then you have West Virginia, where there's Graham Harrell, very, very well. I think the most significant factor would be having familiarity, because learning a new system is a big deal. And when it's your last year to impress those NFL scouts and get drafted, you want to be with somebody that you already know the situation, you already know the offense. That learning curve is not quite as steep. And that's why I think West Virginia has an advantage here, because if this wasn't his last year, then I would be more worried. But because this is his last year of eligibility, that's what helps West Virginia the most, because Graham Harrell is going to provide a not as steep of a learning curve.
Got a question coming in from We Are Penn State 76. Appreciate the contribution, sir. What do you guys think West Virginia football would look like right now if y'all closed the deal against Pitt and went on to win the Natty way back when, 2007?
Yep. Completely different ballgame. I mean, number one, we'd have a national championship. So that's a big deal. I mean, teams can literally use a national championship to recruit. So, and it being that recent, even if it's just one, it's still recent. So I think it would have absolutely changed the entire history of West Virginia football. Would that mean that Rich Rodriguez doesn't leave? I think if we beat Pitt, I think that literally means that Rich Rod stays, which means we could actually win multiple national championships. So that's a great question. That one game really, really affected the history of West Virginia football. It really did.
That West Virginia team finished 12-1, correct? Won the Orange Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, 12-1?
We lost to South Florida and then Pitt.
Lost 2 games.
Yeah, losing to Pitt's what knocked us out.
We likely would have got. I read an article the other day that said West Virginia was the number one candidate to land Terrell Pryor.
Yep.
He had West Virginia number 1 on his list because of Rich Rod and his offense. And when Rich Rod left, he flipped to Ohio State.
Yep. And then played against him.
Yep.
And there's a lot of things that people didn't realize, how it affected the history of West Virginia. I mean, of course, we didn't win the national championship. That's a big deal right there. And there's a lot of pinnacles that come out of that was changed because of that one game. And that's why we try to explain to people why, we can literally feel it when we think about that game. I can remember exactly where I was, exactly how I felt, exactly the expressions on the other people in the room that was watching the game. I mean, that's one thing that's ingrained into my brain, unfortunately, because it's that big of a deal.
So SEC Dog brings up a good point here. So, if you run down the list of what JT Daniels could be considering, I got to think at the top of his list is who can prepare me best for the NFL, whether that's from the standpoint of the coaching or the players around me. Who's got an offensive line that's not going to get me killed, and who has weapons that are going to make me look good, combined with the coaching. And then other than that, who's got the best chance of winning? Where do I want to play in regards to style of play? And also, as you guys have talked about, geography, staying close to home possibly matters to him. Maybe it doesn't.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell. I just think the biggest factor is this is his last year of eligibility. I think that is the deciding factor of where he's going to go. That's why I like West Virginia, because of the familiarity, learning curve. We actually did get some pretty good transfers through the transfer portal on offense. We recruited the best we've recruited on the offensive side of the ball in like 4 years. So we actually took as many steps as we could to land a big-time transfer like JT Daniels.
Yeah, I think the weapons is a great point SEC Dog brought up, and I actually touched on that in the video I mentioned earlier. There's a lot of similarities. I mean, West Virginia's bringing back most of their receiving core. We did lose a couple guys, but including Winston Wright, who was our leading receiver, but he was only our leading receiver by a couple catches. It's not like he was, way above the other guys. Bryce Ford Wheaton was just a few catches behind him. And honestly, I think Bryce Ford Wheaton is probably a better downfield threat than Wright was. Wright was the quick twitch, throw a screen and let him run, get yards after the catch guy. We've got him back. We've got Sam James coming back, who's a weapon. If you remember Sam James, he had a great freshman year.
Yep.
And then we've got Caden Prather, who's a highly touted 4-star kid who's going to be a sophomore this year. And I think Reese Smith could end up being really good for us too, who will probably replace Winston Wright in the slot. I think West Virginia has an advantage there. And then you've got our O-line, our entire starting offensive line's coming back, including, second-team All-American and Zach Frazier. And then all first-team freshman All-American and Wyatt Milam. So, I don't really see any area where West Virginia has a disadvantage other than geography. Yeah,
I would agree. And we're going to have some better tight end play this year as well.
Now, you could say the same. The other two schools are similar. They've got most of their receivers back, I think, as well. So, it's tit for tat. I think it's going to come down to where he feels comfortable at the end of the day, to be honest.
That's why I'm glad you said that, because as far as like personnel, who's coming back, who has the talent, it's very, very even. And that's why I always circle back to closer to home, familiarity. Closer to home, familiarity with Graham Harrell. Which one of those is going to win out? So I would almost say it might be between Oregon State and West Virginia at this point. Now, I'm not ruling out Missouri. I'm just saying with a guy that has 1 year of eligibility left, those are the two criteria to me that would seem like would mean the most. Not like getting revenge on the team that you used to play for. His goal right now is to get to the NFL, and he has 1 year to do it. This is, he's not a freshman, sophomore, 3 years, whatever. Last chance. How's he going to make it happen? I think West Virginia's a good spot for that.
I'm going to throw – I just thought of something when you put that graphic up on the screen, Mark, about West Virginia and Pitt 9-3. There's another spin on that getting back at someone. He has a chance to beat the guy who took his job at USC in Keaton Slovis.
Yep.
Full circle, baby.
And he has the guy, Graham Harrell, that knows Keaton Slovis better than anybody.
Yep. So, I think it's like, I think at the end of the day, it's going to be what is important to JT Daniels as a person. And, and let's not forget the academic piece to this either. What does he want? What's he going to get his master's degree in? We can't forget. We always forget. I think we are bad, at least I am, bad about forgetting these guys are students. Mm-hmm. They are getting a degree. They have to be in school to get to play. So they're going to take classes in something, whether it's, underwater basket weaving or whatever. So what school is going to offer the academic curriculum that he needs to do whatever it is he wants to do after football's over? That might play a role in this as well, and we can't forget that.
I like whenever they did the tour of West Virginia facilities, I liked the new locker room, the new rehab facilities.
Yes.
And with him being injury prone, and he's recovered from a couple of injuries, even that could play a factor in it. If I get a little tweak, who has the better recovery center that can get me back on my feet the fastest? And West Virginia literally just renovated that and poured a ton of money into that. And when West Virginia flashes that in front of his face, that's going to be difficult for him to turn down.
I know we've got a few Georgia fans watching. I would like to know if any of them know what's JT Daniels' major in college. I'd be interested to know that, if that's something West Virginia offers. Obviously he'll have a master's. You can get that in anything, I guess, but does he have a certain career path? He's I don't know. Who knows? I'd be interested to know that.
Our guy our guy Eric is an Oregon fan. Joins us on a regular basis. He asked a question just concerning West Virginia in general, attracting guys in the transfer portal or in recruiting. What do you guys, your West Virginia guys, your bias, yes, but stepping back, looking at it, what are the main draws for West Virginia in recruiting, whether it be high school talent or guys already in college?
I think it's a little bit of both, because like Coos mentioned earlier, the receiving core is going to be really, really good this year. Especially,
I'm sorry, just in general, what does West Virginia bring to the table to draw athletes?
oh, you mean when they recruit?
Yes.
Okay. Well, their Florida pipeline is pretty good. That is a good question. I'd have to think about that for a second.
While you're thinking, I'm going to answer, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
Family atmosphere. We are the professional team in the state of West Virginia, so they will be superstars.
Yep.
We have the 5th quarter program where Coach Brown and the staff helps prepare these guys for life after football, which is big nowadays. I've actually heard a lot of student athletes mention that in interviews, how that's important. Especially their parents, look at that stuff when they're looking at schools. I think those are 3 big things, and then the new facilities can't hurt. But I think the family atmosphere and the the fact that West Virginia fans are so loyal, and that West Virginia is the team in the state. I think those are 2 major draws.
Absolutely. I was misunderstanding the question. I agree with Coos, and I think we kind of resemble Clemson without the success that Clemson has right now. If you go back and look at, how Dabo Swinney started at Clemson, he had to rebuild that program when they moved on from Tommy Bowden. So I agree with Coos. The family atmosphere, if you look at Clemson, what is it? The family atmosphere. What does Dabo Swinney do? He prepares them for life after football. What are we doing at West Virginia? We're preparing them for life after football. And, the professional team. Now, I know you could count Carolina, the Panthers, but technically that's in North Carolina. So Clemson could be, I know there's South Carolina, but Clemson is the biggest draw in South Carolina right now. So there's a lot of comparisons that you could put out there between Clemson and West Virginia right now. So, maybe we are that one player away from taking the next step like Clemson did.
It's funny you said that. I actually answered that exact question on Facebook yesterday. Somebody put something about how disappointed they were in our basketball and football teams, and we're several players away. I think they said that we're if we were just one player away, it'd be different. I'm like, dude, we literally are one player away from being good again. Literally.
Yeah.
Like
we're set on defense.
Is that the quarterback? Probably. I mean, we're just that close, I think, to getting over the hump and being a national contender again, or at least a conference contender.
Well, if you look at 2020, our running game was amazing. And of course, our defense was elite. It was our quarterback situation that was not good. Fast forward to this year, defense not as elite, not the problem though, still solid. Quarterback still was an issue, and the running game suffered because we had a young offensive line. That's going to be much better this year. So it still comes down to the quarterback. And if they pitch that to JT Daniels and be like, hey, man, you literally could be the savior of West Virginia, and you come to West Virginia, we're going to get 10 wins, and we're going to go to a New Year's Six Bowl. We promise you that.
And what I love about JT Daniels is he's kind of the opposite of Jarrett Dagey.
Mm-hmm.
He gets rid of the ball extremely fast. I mean, he's quick. He makes his reads and he throws the ball. He gets the ball out of his hand quick. It might be his best asset. And that was the issue Dagey had. Dagey held the ball too long a lot of times and took sacks. Now, Daniels is not going to be he's not an elite athlete as far as with his feet. I think he's got it up here. I think he's an extremely smart quarterback.
Yeah.
He probably doesn't have the best arm talent out there, but it's good enough, and he's got it up here. And I think that's kind of what we need, and especially that air raid offense that thrives on being quick, and getting the ball out. I think he's perfect for it, to be honest. And I think that, and there again, I think that might intrigue him to want to go to West Virginia and play in that offense. Because he probably knows how good he can be in that offense.
Exactly. If this would have happened last year, West Virginia wouldn't be in discussion at all. That's how big of a difference 1 year makes. Getting Graham Harrell, that's how big getting Graham Harrell was. It gives us a shot with these, with elite talent like JT Daniels. And the fact that they actually know each other, that's just icing on the cake right there. So now we're starting to layer the benefits of JT Daniels to West Virginia, not just, this one thing that separates. No, there's layers of, what his potential could be at West Virginia.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was somebody in the chat earlier. I can't find the comment now, but basically was talking about Neal Brown as offensive coordinator at Kentucky. A Kentucky fan chiming in saying he didn't like Neal Brown as an offensive coordinator at Kentucky. How do West Virginia fans feel about Neal Brown and his offensive approach at West Virginia?
Well, here's the thing. Neal Brown has realized he's not the offensive coordinator. All right. He tried that. He was not good at it. The thing that I liked was, we had to go through that. I believe that was in 2019 and some of 2020 before he handed it off. But he finally realized I'm not doing this correctly. He handed it off. So, no, he's not good at calling the offense. So, if that was your question, is he good at it? How do we feel about that? We didn't like it. That's why he handed it off. He finally realized that's not his cup of tea. And we got through last year, even though our offensive coordinator wasn't all that great. This year, Graham Harrell will make the difference. Neal Brown's not calling the offense this year. It's going to be Graham Harrell. And Graham Harrell is known for calling dynamic offenses, offenses that gain yards, offenses that, get those first downs and score points, move the ball, keep your defense fresh. That's been our biggest problem. We've had a good defense, but I still don't think we've seen our biggest potential on defense because they've gotten gassed so much. So this new look offense that's going to keep the defense off the field, we're going to see our defense even better because they're going to be more fresh.
Yep. Did I see somebody put on there that he's a psychology major?
Yes, saw that a few times.
Wow. That means he's a smart dude.
Man, that explains a lot, actually. He's smart and mature. He's a very mature college student.
And I should know this, but I need to find out if West Virginia even has a psychology. I think they do.
Oh yeah,
because I know they have a great medical school there, so I would imagine they would have psychology.
Yeah. I actually know a few people that majored that in West Virginia.
Oh, good, yeah. Great then. Yeah, I thought they did, but
we're good on that.
Good deal. So that might help us. Can't hurt for sure, but the other two schools may have it as well. Who knows?
Yeah. And I see people pointing out the fact that JT Daniels isn't, the most mobile quarterback there is. See, this is why we're making a big deal out of Graham Harrell. Okay? He knows that. Graham Harrell designs plays that can help mask that. Even if our offensive line isn't holding blocks, for 4 or 5 seconds. And he just knows how to call plays that benefit the quarterback, whether he's mobile or not. So I'm really not worried about JT not being a dual threat quarterback. Graham Harrell will know that, and he'll call plays accordingly.
And if he gets the ball out of his hand fast enough, he doesn't need to be that.
It won't matter that much. Yeah, you're right.
Which in the clips I've seen and the times I've watched him play, he does pretty much. And he's not. It's not like he can't run at all. He's decent. He's decent. I think he's got better feet than Daggy did, which not that says a whole lot. But
yeah.
But he's not. He can scramble good enough to get out of a bind or make a play or avoid a sack, which is really all you need, especially in a system where he's probably not going to have the ball more than 2 to 3 seconds anyway.
Yeah, I don't think West Virginia fans are realizing the difference as far as level between Daggy and JT Daniels. Daggy was a quarterback that was good enough to not really lose a game, but he was not good enough to win a game for you. If you needed him to win the game, he was not good enough to do that. With JT Daniels, this guy gets rid of the ball so fast. He makes his reads so fast. He's 1 to 2 to 3 within 2-3 seconds. Daggy's still working on 1 at 2.5. So we're not going to have to worry about JT running for his life like Daggy was, because he's an elite quarterback. That's the difference between okay, maybe kind of good quarterback and elite. JT is elite when it comes to getting rid of the ball.
And I don't know where this commenter says, never heard more attention given on overrated bust of a QB. He's been injured his whole career. If you want to consider being injured a bust, that's fair. You can make that argument, but I don't agree with it.
Well, JT Daniels' deal is that he came out of high school as a 5-star, was the first or second rated quarterback in the country, immediately won the job at USC. So consider that he was supposed to still be in high school. He moved up his graduation, graduated, and won the USC starting quarterback job. True, the USC program and that particular team in 2018 wasn't the greatest team on the planet, but Sam Darnold just left. They just won the Pac-12 championship. They just went to the Cotton Bowl. They still had a lot of talent, and he was good enough to win the job as basically a high school senior. He had a pretty good season considering their offensive line wasn't that good. Look at his numbers. They're decent. They're not great, but he was basically a high school senior starting at USC. Then he gets hurt the first or second game of the next season, and that pretty much derailed his career at USC. He goes to Georgia. He wins the job. We know how stacked, although youthful, he didn't have to compete against anybody experienced at Georgia, but the room was stacked with talent, and he wins the job. And again, he doesn't lose the job because of poor play. He gets hurt. Yep. And we saw what they did, and shoot, still till a late portion of the season, most Georgia fans were clamoring for JT Daniels to be the starting quarterback and wanted him back over Stetson Bennett. So JT Daniels, the one thing I'll say, Chris, to what you're saying about him being a lead, I'm going to fall short in terms of, I'm going to reserve my judgment on calling him elite. He's an elite high school prospect coming into college football, and I don't think he's been anywhere close to a bust. He's not a bust by any stretch. He's played well. He quarterbacked the team the final 4 or 5 games at Georgia the previous season. They won all those games. They beat Cincinnati in the Peach Bowl. He threw for 400 yards in the Peach Bowl. He's not a bust.
I think the thing that he's getting mixed up on, I'm reading the comment, I have never heard more attention given to, and here's where he makes his mistake, overrated bust of a quarterback than Daniels. The problem is you can call him a bust because of injuries all day long. That's fine. I understand that because he has gotten injured. But overrated, no. He has won the quarterback job. How many times has he had to win the quarterback job and he's done? That's exactly what he's done. How is that overrated? I mean, he's won the quarterback job at 2 separate elite teams. 2 separate top-tier teams. He won the job. Yes, he got injured, and he got bumped out of the starting quarterback position, but he still won it twice. I mean, we're talking about Georgia and USC. You know, we're not talking about, like, and I'm going to say it, Marchiol. We're not talking about like a Marchiol or a Western Kentucky or a, whatever, Coastal Carolina, Middle Tennessee. We're talking about Georgia and USC. And both times he won the starting quarterback position. How is that overrated?
I'm with you. I agree 100%. 100%. And what people don't realize, Mark, you can answer this better than I can, because I know you watch all the bowl games, but did Cincinnati's 2-star corners play in that bowl game?
Yes.
They have 2 corners, 2 defensive backs that are arguably 2 of the best in the country. Probably will both get – one of them may go in the first round. He put up 400 yards against them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's why I'm comfortable saying he's not a bust. No. As Krista said, he won 2 separate jobs at USC wasn't necessarily at the peak of its powers, but it's still USC, and they still had just won the Pac-12 championship, and at Georgia won the job twice. So he was the most impressive quarterback in the room, on the field in 2 August camps at USC and Georgia, even one where he should have been a high school senior in high school. And then again, he puts up 400 yards in the Peach Bowl against Cincinnati. His stats they're not eye-popping, great, amazing, but they're good. They're really good. He's until I see more, he's definitely one of the 15 or 20 best quarterbacks in the country. And I believe he's probably more in the top 10 range. And I think he'll prove that pretty quickly.
He kind of reminds me of the situation Will Grier was in, except for you replace, injury with what, with what Will Grier went through. I mean, people thought, Will Grier, he looked good back when, but now we don't know how good he is now. So I think JT is kind of in the same situation because he was injured and he hasn't played for a while. So people are starting to think, because they haven't seen him play in a while, that he's a bust. So it's sort of the same situation as, the Will Grier situation.
Yeah, I can see that. As a matter of fact, Will Grier went an entire season and a half without playing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
JT Daniels is only going to go, what, 3/4 of a season, basically?
Yep,
Yeah.
basically.
So, I mean, to me, it's even better if he can stay healthy. Now, if he comes to West Virginia, goes out next year and plays like trash, then I'll say, hey, I was wrong. But I just don't see that happening. I really don't.
Well, another aspect that I like about this is, and you kind of touched on it right there, like, okay, but what if he gets injured? Well, the thing that works out for West Virginia, first of all, I wish well on JT Daniels. I hope he comes to West Virginia. I hope he's the starter, and I hope he has a fantastic 2022 college football season. That's what I want. But the good news is, let's say he gets through 3-4 games, maybe 5 games, and does get injured, unfortunately. That's not the worst case scenario for West Virginia, because we do still have Nico Marchiol. And one of the main things that helps us is we are trying to groom him. So by bringing in JT Daniels, that's going to help us groom Nico Marchiol. Now, God forbid JT does get injured. Well, at least Nico, has been groomed during that time. He's gotten a little bit of experience. He's gotten some advice. And even though JT won't be on the field, he'll have that veteran quarterback in his ear, cheering him on, telling him what he did wrong, what to do next, what to look for on the defense. So, I'm not that worried about JT getting injured at West Virginia. I don't want him to, but I'm not saying like, oh man, if that happens, well, we got JT for no reason. No, there's a bunch of reasons for West Virginia to get JT Daniels, not just, we need a quarterback for 2022.
If you're an Oregon State fan, West Virginia fan, or a Missouri fan, take JT Daniels and go through your starting quarterback from 2021 and then go back each year, 2020, 19, 18, as far as back as you want to, as far as back as you are a fan, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and compare JT Daniels to the quarterback that has started for your team every season. Now, Missouri, they've done pretty well with Blaine Gabbert, Chase Daniel, Drew Lock recently. You can toss that kind of up in the air. I think JT Daniels is as good as those guys, but again, he's got a limited sample size. But Oregon State, and even West Virginia, Will Grier.
That's it.
You guys correct me if I'm wrong. Will Grier is statistically, he's the best quarterback in the history of the school.
Yeah, he don't have like the all-time greatest numbers, but as far as like efficiency and all that stuff, yeah.
Well, I know Major Harris has a certain
right
place in history because of what he accomplished, and he was dual threat. But statistically, Grier's off the charts.
Yeah.
Yeah, Geno, you got to put Geno in there. But Geno was there for 4 years. Will Grier was only there. He only played a season and a third, or a season and 2/3 or whatever, because he got injured. He was only there 2 seasons, and he got hurt in the Texas game in his first season and missed the last 2 or 3 games. So, I mean, he didn't even play 2 full seasons at West Virginia. He's still a top 5 quarterback at our school.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I think it's top 5 or top 6, something like that.
Okay, yeah, Geno.
But besides him, Skylar Howard.
Mark, you were right. I mean, he was on track to be the best quarterback had he been there long. Had he been
71
there long
touchdowns in 2 years.
Exactly. Yeah. If he would have had four full, well, maybe even just 3 full years, he would be across the board statistic, own everything.
Yeah, he would be up there with Geno in the record books, I believe.
I guess I somewhat, not that I forgot, but in the moment forgot just how great Geno Smith was.
I do think that Will Grier was a bigger winner than Geno Smith, because Geno had his moments where he did crumble under pressure. I will say that statistically, he was a great quarterback, and he had a great arm. He had a good release, good decision, good reads. But when it came to actual pressure, he wasn't all that great when it came to those pressure moments. I think back to what was it, the 2012 season. We started off 5-0, went on the road and beat Texas. We were top 5 team in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
Then we ended up losing 5 games in a row and finished the season 7-5. And that's not saying that Geno was a bad quarterback. No, he was one of our all-time greats. He didn't handle pressure well. I think Will Grier handled pressure a little bit better than Geno Smith.
That's a fair statement. I mean, I think it's fair. But Geno didn't have a defense either, so you got to take that into consideration.
That's true.
But I do think Will Grier was probably had more of the it factor, if that's a fair statement.
I think he had more confidence.
More confidence, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go. I would say that. This is totally off on a tangent. I won't dwell on it, but I thought Will Grier would be a better pro quarterback than he is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still up in the air on that. I think he walked into a weird situation because Matt Rule is not really panning out all that well at Carolina, and they had just switched, coaches at Carolina. So I'm still going to hold my, my thoughts back on that one until I see that situation settle down.
I got you.
Geno was a bust in the NFL, though. I mean, it is what it is. He was a bust.
Well, I don't know. He's been a second stringer. I wouldn't call that a bust. He's getting paid $1 million to hold a clipboard.
Well, I mean, compared to his expectations going.
Yeah. I guess you could. I guess so.
Making $1 million a year. That's. I mean, you're living a good life right there.
It's probably more than $1 million. I'm just using it as a round number, but.
Right.
But I guess you're right. If you look at what he did in college versus what he's doing now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fair.
What was Geno Smith, a second rounder?
Yes, he was expected to be a first rounder, and he remember that the whole.
He got mad.
If you watch the NFL draft, he was expected to be like an early first round pick, and he was sitting in that draft room, and by the end of the night, he was the only guy there that hadn't got drafted yet. He ended up falling into the second round, and it became a big story. Yeah, and then the Jets ended up taking him, and they were a dumpster fire. It was a mess.
He was a bit immature on that one. But the thing that I was saying earlier about JT at West Virginia is the reason it's good for both is he can, really showcase his talents and go on to the NFL and maybe get drafted in the first round if he has a great season and there's potential there. And for West Virginia, it's that transition year. I just don't want Nico's growth to be stunted or to regress. So if we could get JT Daniels this year, our transition period from past to future, Nico Marchiol, smooth, super smooth. This is why it's the best case scenario, not just to have a starting quarterback that's elite like JT. It's the transition to Nico Marchiol. That's our future right there. JT is not our future, but we do need JT to transition into that future.
I would say, though, if we do get JT, I would almost guarantee you we'll lose at least one guy in the portal.
Oh, yeah. Probably either Garrett Green or Will Crowder.
Yeah, because I don't think somebody's not going to like the fact that they're bringing this guy in and it's taking their, that's just the name of the game now.
And I would be okay with that. I mean, that's part of it. You can't fans got to realize you can't keep everybody. Like, oh, we're bringing him, but he can't go either. That's just not how it works.
But if Nico leaves, the fan base will go ballistic.
That would be bad, but he's not going to because he would realize the situation. This is only 1 year. This is for the transition, and I get to learn. It's actually going to make me better. Yeah. So I actually think it'll encourage him even more to stay, and he won't have as much pressure on himself.
And let's not be naive here. NIL could potentially play a role in where he goes.
Yeah, that's why people are literally tweeting out for that foundation. What's it called? Country Roads
Trust.
Yeah, to just throw $1 million. They're like, I don't care how you raise it. Raise $1 million, throw it at him. See what happens.
Well, and to be fair, they wouldn't have to raise a whole lot. Ken Kendrick's got that sitting in his living room under his couch.
That's true.
The guy owns the Arizona Diamondbacks. I'm sure he's got $1 million somewhere.
I mean, he's got to realize.
Now, whether he wants to spend it on JT Daniels is another story, but
yeah, it's a big deal. We need somebody to help us transition into the Nico Marchiol era. That's what I'm calling the next era of West Virginia football. It will be the Nico Marchiol era. We just need a little bit of help transitioning into that. I don't like having to start a true freshman, and that's exactly what will happen if we don't get JT, because Nico is the best quarterback in the room right now. Mark it down. If we don't get JT, Nico's going to be starting.
Right, no name. I'm giving you your answer. I'm almost positive the Missouri quarterback in the late 90s was Corby Jones. He got flattened by Andy Katzenmoyer. Yes, Missouri-Ohio State game. All right, appreciate everybody being here at the Voice of College Football. Here's the deal. We've got a West Virginia channel we would love for you to subscribe to. We've got Joey right here in the chat. He has left the link right there for you. I can do that as well. But West Virginia channel here at the Voice of College Football, and these two guys make it happen as well. So please subscribe first and foremost to their channels. Golden Blue Dude, of course, talking West Virginia most of the time, but he also does a tremendous job just laying out the landscape of college football. If there's a hot button issue, if there's something that gets his goat a little bit, gets after him, then he will lay it out there. And also Coos's Corner, breaking down West Virginia. And Coos has been nice enough to post some of his videos here at the Voice of College Football on our West Virginia channel. But certainly our buddy Joey Foster really wanted us to make it a go of a West Virginia channel. So we are doing our best to provide content from, when you get Golden Blue Dude, you get Coos's Corner, you get Travis Kenobi, who's joined us many times from Last Word on College Football, knows a ton about the inner workings of the program and everything that goes on in West Virginia and beyond that. Had a great conversation with him last week about NIL and transfer portal and all of that with Golden Blue Dude as well. We hit it from a number of angles, and then you got to put up with me as well. So that's our West Virginia deal here at the Voice of College Football. And I'll let you guys know that a few days ago, I released Big 12 all-time program rankings.
Oh, yeah.
And, that's right, Chris. I saw your comment. You left that out there because you caught something. I tripped up on something.
I couldn't believe it.
I had it right in my head, but when I posted it, I was... People
need to realize how rare that is, though. You are a college football encyclopedia. So I thought maybe I was having a hallucination. I was like, wait a minute. Did I remember that wrong? Because Mark's not wrong. Mark is
I screwed up something about TCU's entry into the Big 12.
Yeah.
And,
it was just the year that they went in the Big 12.
Yeah, when you know something, but you still screw it up. It's kind of like a typo of the mouth. That's what I did.
Yeah.
And yes, I believe me, people. I know that TCU was in the Southwest Conference. I watched them play a lot of football in the Southwest Conference until 1995. That was last year. And then they moved on, of course, Mountain West, Conference USA, the WAC, and then back into the Big 12. But yeah, it's not a fair comparison all the time because obviously West Virginia spent its history as an independent, then was in the Southern Conference, independent, then Big East, now Big 12, and I'm comparing them against programs in the Big 12. But it's impossible to divide every program into where they were at certain times and try to do all that. So we lump it all together, and that's why we have so much criteria. We got 10 little criteria points, which we're comparing, in this case, West Virginia against the rest of the Big 12, and West Virginia fares pretty well. So
yeah,
everyone check out the video.
Yeah. I liked it. I enjoyed it. And
I did too.
I knew West Virginia was going to be in the top half because there's been some really stinky teams in the Big 12. To be honest, I knew we were better than Kansas State, TCU,
Oh, yeah.
Oklahoma State, I was a little iffy on, but if you go over overall history, I guess, yeah, we would be better as far as
Mike Gundy's really pulled them up.
Yeah. People
really
don't
pulled them
realize
up.
Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State had some really, really bad years.
Yeah.
But recent history has kind of leveled it back out. So, yeah.
And you guys know, I think the metrics we put together and the stats, I think they mean a lot. I think they're meaningful. They're not as perfect as I would want them to be, but I would need a staff to do that. Again, I would want to say, okay, let's divide West Virginia's Big East run and then compare them against the Big East during that time. I just posted the ACC today. Of course, Florida State they don't have as many ACC championships, let's say, as Clemson, but they just entered the conference in 1992. Clemson's been there since day one in 53. So you can't compare, but I'd have to go through a whole ratio system of, you won 10 championships in your 47 years and they won 3 during their 6. Yeah, can't do that, folks.
Ridiculous.
I'm just one guy, so we can't quite cut it exactly the way we want it, but winning percentage and all these various factors, it was interesting to see West Virginia and how they stack up.
It was good. I liked it.
I enjoyed it as well.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Post the Big
And I
Ten
appreciate
and
you giving us a
SEC.
national championship, Mark. Much
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that 07 season is difficult for me to call because you guys probably have heard me enough to know that I don't like the national championships. I think a lot of them don't make sense.
Yeah.
That's one where I'm not here to say any one team should be declared the national champion that year. Obviously, under the system, LSU won the national championship game, the BCS championship game. But when we get to the end of the line and you got all these 11-2 teams that didn't play each other, I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was pretty much the sooner you lost at the beginning of the season, you had a better chance of winning the national championship. Whoever lost last was out, and of course, we lost last.
So I've got like a 5-way tie. And poor Kansas, shoot, they went 12-1. They had a better record than everybody else did.
Yeah,
and actually backed it up in a major bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Kansas, maybe it should have been Kansas and West Virginia in the national championship. I like that. It's crazy to think of, Kansas national champ. Wow. My brain will explode if I think about that too much.
Yeah.
Hey, I did see Uncle Lou in the chat earlier, so I wanted to do a quick shout out to him because it was Uncle Lou, Pigskin Pete, and BVD that got the Slob Olympics kind of started and all that stuff. And I don't know if Talk His Pit was in the chat earlier, so he needs to see this. Is this okay with you guys? He needs
sure.
To see this.
Absolutely.
Talk His Pit. Guess who the champ is, man? I'm the champ.
Give me a second here to get you full screen.
Champ. I went to the Slob Olympics and I conquered it. So my name will go right under Big Dog Brett. He was the first winner. I'll be the second winner, 2022. I get to keep this trophy for a year unless I win it again next year. And it says the Slob Olympics Champions Cup. I didn't choose the Slob lifestyle. The Slob lifestyle chose me. And then there's one. But look at this. This is a big trophy. This ain't no joke. So we take that competition very seriously. And I needed Talk His Pit to see that. I needed him to see that.
I take it from what I have seen and heard of the Slob Olympics, we weren't exactly tossing the discus or deadlifting or anything like that.
No. But I did have 36 push-ups in the cold. So.
36 push-ups. Yeah. Nice job.
Well,
nice work
down
there.
From last year. Last year I had 40, but it was much colder outside. So everybody's push-up numbers went down this year because of that. So, but I'm still proud of that 36.
Yeah, absolutely. The muscles tighten up there.
Yep.
RW Tyndall, I appreciate the kind words there. Mark Rogers needs a big contract at a network. Seriously.
I agree with that.
I appreciate that. I hear that from time to time. Whoop, man, I am.
Where'd everybody go? Oh,
there we go.
There we go. Y'all left me.
We did, and that was poorly timed by me. I got a situation here where I'm not at home. I'm on the road, and I got a desk that's about half the size that I'm used to, and I got everything crammed on this desk, so I can barely move my arm or my elbow, and I'm going to bump my keypad, and that's exactly what I did. Knock us right off the air. But Tyndall, I appreciate that. I will say that Cheryl makes a good point here. So ESPN, well, she goes on. Cheryl's given a little backstory there. I appreciate that, Cheryl. Cheryl always has my back. But basically, when it comes down to it, the answer to all that is that I really don't want to work for anybody like that. I want to work for myself. But that's a very nice thing to say, and that's very kind. I appreciate those comments, but I like what I'm doing here. It's just up to all of us to support each other, support Golden Blue Dude, Goose's Corner, support all the good college football content on YouTube, and hopefully including me if you deem me to be in that category as well. So
you're not only deemed, dude, you are the category. You are the category. Seriously, you're the category.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. We try. But so yeah. So thank you so much. Somebody had mentioned super chats and all that sort of thing. Yeah, that's very nice, and we all can use those. At the same time, there's a number of ways to build this out with sponsorships and subscriptions and all different things that we're pursuing, and we'll continue to look at and try to build out. So
it all starts with the audience, though. You got to hit that subscribe button. It starts with you. Can't do it without you.
That's right. That is right. And Golden Blue Dude, we know that your channel's exploded here in the last 6 months to a year.
Coos, man. Look out for Coos, man. He's on a roll right now.
Well, thank you, man. And I'm nowhere near like you are, but obviously the off season gets a little rocky, but
you'll see the boom. You'll see the boom. It's coming.
But I'm holding course.
Yeah, exactly.
I just appreciate you guys, man, because you guys blaze the trail for me. So
well, we got Goose's Corner pulled up right here on my laptop. He's around 1,500. So get on over there and support. What
and I do, by the way, I do
done recently.
You got to 1,000 real quick.
I started in August, hit the 1,500 or hit the 1,000 mark right around the end of the year, right around Christmas time.
Yep.
But I do videos other than just West Virginia, even though obviously you see the background. I do a lot of Big 12 stuff, and then I do any major national stories I'll try to touch on. But I do mainly focus on West Virginia, but I branch out as well. And I even do, like Golden Blue Dude, I'll throw a college basketball video in there every once in a while as well.
Coos, when you mentioned that you hit 1,500 after just whatever that's been 5 or 6 months, I don't know how many people have reached out to me like on Twitter, and they just think, oh, well, Mark got all these subscribers, and I don't want to say it that way. I don't have that many subscribers. It's all relative to whoever you compare yourself to, but they'll be like, how did you get that many subscribers? And I'll look at their YouTube channel and I'll ask them, how long have you been on YouTube? And they'll say, 12 months, 14, whatever and I'll go back and I will look up how many subscribers I had at that same point and send it back to them to say, well, look at that. Like I had a slow grind.
But you guys are
all blowing me away when it comes to pace.
You got started when YouTube wasn't as popular, Mark.
Exactly.
YouTube took off. YouTube took off in the last 2 to 3 years, especially with COVID.
Yeah.
And you don't know when people are going to subscribe. You think you can, this will be a good video, and it turns out to be a bomb. And then you just throw something together and it explodes. You can't predict what people are going to react to.
It's crazy.
You never know.
Never
know.
I will be so proud of a video. I'm like, man, this might be the best video I've ever done. And it'll get like 50 views. And I'm like, are you serious? And then I'll do one that I'm like, man, I screwed up in that video. Had to edit, too much editing. And man, I wasn't with it today. And it'll, a few thousand. I'm like, man,
right.
There's no right. It's just it's tough to figure it out, man. But it's just all about grinding it. Keep it going. Try to put videos out people want to watch. That's the name of the game. And be yourself. You got to be yourself.
Absolutely. If I ballpark it here with about 33,000 subs, it took me about 7 or 8 years to get the first half of those, and now I've gotten the other 17,000 in the last 2 years.
There you go.
Wow,
Snowball.
That's great.
So, yeah, you got to stick with it. And we appreciate everybody out there, because otherwise we're just talking to each other. We're just talking to nobody, talking to a blank camera.
Which we probably would anyway.
You guys make it all happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Let me make sure we don't miss any good comments or questions here before we wrap it up. Yeah, Talk is Pitt is here.
Yeah.
He's a good supporter, though. By the way, even though our teams don't like each other.
Oh yeah, he's a great.
Yeah, he is all over.
He's a great fan. Period. Oh yeah, that 5-star receiver visiting Notre Dame. Has he already committed, or is he still just visiting? Last time I saw, he's visiting, but it seems really, really interested in Notre Dame. Is he related to the other Irish
Golden Tate?
Yeah,
maybe. I didn't put that
would make
together.
sense.
But,
that would make sense.
So he has not committed.
Okay.
And he's got 37 offers, and 247's got it pretty well split between Ohio State and Notre Dame.
37 offers. My gosh.
37 offers. Third rated wide receiver in the country, top 20 player in the country.
Man, that's like half the Power 5 right there. No, more than half. That's more than half of the Power 5. That is insane.
Are you guys into the NCAA tournament?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Somewhat. I'm not as into it as he is, but I'll watch the games. I have a hard time getting excited when I'm not as passionate about basketball as I am football, and then when my team's not in the tournament.
Yeah, it does.
It's a little bit tougher to get into it, but I have fun rooting for teams. I have fun rooting against teams I hate. So that'll be my motivation.
I like Cinderella stories too.
I root against Virginia Tech, Duke, and Kansas.
Well, Virginia Tech plays Texas, so
I'll root for Texas.
Hmm.
That's how bad I hate Virginia Tech.
I could see that.
I don't hate Texas in basketball, just football.
It makes sense. It makes sense. But when Texas loses, you do get to throw the horns down.
Yeah, true.
So maybe beat Virginia Tech and then lose in the next round. How about that?
I can live with that.
There you go. That's a perfect big dance for me.
This is what I like and find funny sometimes, and I'm sure you guys come across this at times where you'll think, this dude's watching, but man, he hates me, man. He's trashing me. Everything I say is wrong. And this is Justin right here. Mark, you're the man, even if I get weird on you every now and again, because Justin will just tear me to shreds sometimes.
Yeah.
I just figured.
I've got a few of those.
I got the one that really pops out to me is Tar Heel. There's a subscriber and his screen name is Tar Heel. He shreds pretty much every video, but then every once in a while he like super, it's like there's no medium with him. He's either super down on me or super high on me, and just never know what to expect from that guy.
RW back here. That sounds great, Mark, until they back the truck up. This is true. I got to say, I would listen if the truck pulled up and, backed up there. Now, George, this is a good math equation right here. I'm all on board with this. 30,000 subs, $5 a month on Patreon.
Wow.
That math works out pretty well.
Really well.
That would do okay. That would do okay.
That's over $250,000.
Well, we're at 150.
150.
150 a month.
Almost
It'd be okay.
$250,000.
I would get it.
It's about 100,000 short of $250,000.
But
pretty good though.
Yeah, my thought on the NCAA tournament, we are strictly football, and anytime somebody mentions another sport, I shut them down immediately. I'm like, college football, that's all we do. But I was kind of thinking with some of these college basketball games, and I jotted them down thinking, like Notre Dame plays Rutgers their first, it's a play-in game. Do I get on there? We throw on the Notre Dame basketball game. If people want to talk about basketball, I'll talk football. We'll talk about whatever Notre Dame. We'll just put it on the Notre Dame channel.
I promise you, if you just put the game on, they'll do all the talking. You won't even talk.
You are right about that. And a really good one for me would be USC and Miami, because we got two pretty good strong channels with USC and Miami. And I'll just be like, I don't know these dudes playing, but shoot, I'll watch a basketball game and hang out with you guys. And
here's what you need to do. Okay, I'm giving you a tip right now because this is a big deal this year. Michigan made the big dance, and it's very, very controversial. Not only did they make the big dance, but they avoided a play-in, so they technically get a bye. So you need to go to your Michigan channel or actually, it might be better if you go to the Ohio State channel and put on the Michigan game and try to get people started up on Michigan shouldn't be here. That's too high of a seed. Not only should they not have gotten a bye, they shouldn't be in here anyways. I mean, you could get Ohio State fans to absolutely trash Michigan, and it would be validated because I even think Michigan shouldn't be in it.
They're an 11 seed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I jotted down all the games that involve our team channels.
And Ohio State is in the big dance too, so that would be good for your Ohio State. Yeah, there's a lot of big names that are in the dance together that you have channels of. Like Notre Dame, usually, I mean, they haven't been good in basketball in a while, but this year they got in. And I think they should have been a higher seed, to be honest with you. I think Notre Dame's a better team than people give them credit.
And if they win, they play Alabama.
Exactly. Man, you could on Alabama and Notre Dame.
We'll simulcast.
That's
one question I threw out there after Selection Sunday was I was looking through the brackets, but I was looking at it from a football standpoint saying, here's the question. What are the best football matchups in the NCAA first round? I don't think any question. The best one's Miami and USC. LSU and Iowa State. It's a pretty good game.
But if Notre Dame moves on from Rutgers, Notre Dame, Alabama. I like that one too.
Boise State in Memphis. That's a pretty good ball game.
Yeah. I think I actually had. Hold on. Give me a second here. I actually have them all written down. Let's see. I like LSU, Iowa State would be a good one. Yeah. Let's see who else we got here.
Houston, UAB.
There's a storyline with that game as
well. UAB too. Yes.
Storyline with LSU and Iowa State.
What's the storyline?
LSU just fired their coach.
For
that scandal.
Texas, Virginia Tech in football. That would be decent.
I jotted that one down. That was one of my selections. Yep.
All right. Let's see what else we got here. You already said Boise State and Memphis.
Yep. I had 8 or 9.
That might be it. Yeah, I think that's it.
Or a few others, maybe. I'm not coming up with
Yeah, there's some good ones in there. Yeah. I agree.
Michael asks, hey, Mark Rogers, how many more Notre Dame fans do you need to do more shows? You know what I need, Michael, more than anything? Time. I need more time to do more shows. I'm committed to 9 a week, and that doesn't even count call-in shows or anything else. Those are just the 9 team channels for those live streams. So I just need more time.
I feel lazy. My gosh.
But if you can get us a sponsor for Notre Dame, yes, anybody who gets us a sponsor, we will automatically start another team-specific live stream for you.
Until you run out of hours.
Yeah, well.
He'll make up
we'll worry about that if we get
I was going to say, be careful what you wish for, Mark.
He'll manufacture hours if he has to.
Yeah, we'll be doing a 3 a.m. Notre Dame show.
You'll be doing a Marshall channel or a
Coastal
or a Appalachian State channel.
There you go. Hey, if it comes to that, then hey, we'll be doing all right, I think.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Appreciate you being here. Again, this is Coos's Corner right here with Justin. You got to get there. He's growing. He's building. It's really good stuff. He comes on here, lays down the knowledge. We appreciate him posting some content here and being a regular on our Friday night show as well. So, again, Coos's Corner right here on YouTube. And, of course, the slob champion himself, Golden Blue Dude.
Yeah, you're the opposite. You got it.
There he is.
Yeah, for an entire year, reigning champ.
YouTuber legend himself. Catch him for college football content and for March Madness here over the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. Another great show. Thanks for making it happen.
Thank you, guys.
And we will catch up with everyone soon. Be on the lookout for our next West Virginia live show. We typically come your way on Friday nights. Hang with us. We will be here as much as we possibly can, but typically on Friday nights, we will be here between Justin, myself, Chris, and Travis Kenobi joins us as well. All right, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Travis.
You too, bud.